We got to find these properties and make offers on these properties. Let's dive into, finding these deals. And I think what would be good is, a lot of people think too that they need to do marketing to find these deals, right? A lot of people hear about off-market marketing, direct-to-seller marketing. They think they need to go door knock or drive for dollars or spend thousands of dollars in direct mailers or put bandit signs on the side of the road or do TV commercials or radio ads. And that's a lot of work if you want to get started. It's a lot of work if you have a full-time job. That's a lot of work if you have children. That's a lot of freaking work for anyone, right?
And money.
And when we have limited time, we always talk about it. We talk about efficiency every single day. We want to be as efficient as we can. And if the main premise, what we're trying to do is find motivated sellers who actually want to sell their property, this is why we like to focus on the market, where any property that's listed for sale technically is a motivated seller. But we're not looking for retail beautiful properties. We're not looking for the 5-bed, 6-bath houses that are 5,000 square feet that are $2 million in a gated community that don't need any fixing. Now, when we focus on the market, we're looking for those distressed properties. And every single day, there's distressed properties being listed on the market. That's what we find and filter for on the market using free tools like Redfin, like Realtor, like Zillow. And, there's a lot of people that get in their own way that say, oh my gosh, I got to become some professional marketer. I got to write 1,000 letters and lick 1,000 envelopes to then go sit back at my desk at home, cross my fingers, and stare at the phone, wait for it to ring till I can get some leads. When really all the leads anyone could want to consistently wholesale deals every single month, to consistently virtually wholesale deals every single month, they're right on their freaking computer that they can access in 1 minute using these websites. So let's dive into that.
Yeah, like I said before, Redfin is the site that I frequent more than any other site, probably other than Google.com, of course, because that's just the default, browser.
Right.
But it's very easy to find amazing properties at a distance, really in every state. There are a few states where Redfin's not in, so that's where Realtor.com comes in. That's where Zillow comes in. That's where getting MLS access through some of the various strategies that we teach in different markets come in. But ultimately, some of the ways that we find and filter deals include the day zero strategy, which has by far been one of the most fruitful strategies to find amazing properties to virtually wholesale. And the another strategy is the keyword searching strategy, which is something that we can target properties, because you'll go into markets and there's thousands of properties for sale. So we don't want to pursue all of those thousands of properties. We need to narrow it down to maybe the 5%, the 10% of properties at any given time that we can now go pursue and make strategic calculated offers on. So keyword searching is another one. And also property hopping as well. So like I said, when you're talking to your buyers and they're buying in a specific area and the exact deal they're looking for, then you look for deals just like that come up in that exact neighborhood. So, that's just 3 out of over a dozen strategies, that we've been using, that we coach our students on to find deals in any market. And so, using any of these sites, you can hop on and literally within minutes find great deals. Redfin also has a fixer-upper filter that we like to pull up because some people might think that there aren't any deals in their market. Even when they're in very large markets, with hundreds of thousands of people and thousands of properties for sale. So a very easy way too is just pull up a county, pull up a city, and then go on Redfin and filter out properties that are fixer-uppers using their filter there. So that's another just very easy way. It's not perfect. You're going to miss a lot of the good deals, which is why we use the other strategies. But those are really the quickest, easiest ways that we know that don't require any money in marketing. And to your point, Alex, we've done marketing direct to seller. We've done the PPC. We've done the pay per lead. We've spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing to generate leads, and you're gonna be paying $5, $6, sometimes $10,000+ before you maybe get a deal when you're going direct to seller. And these are recent numbers. You know, we know a lot of investors, a lot of wholesalers. We have multiple investment businesses, and these are real numbers. So for most folks that are out there looking to crack into real estate, you don't have, 5 to 10K a month that you are willing to risk, especially when you've never done it before and you're not sure how to, negotiate with sellers, how to manage all the different situations that these distressed sellers are in, right? There's people going through pre-foreclosures, there's divorces, there's inherited properties, there's unexpected bills coming up. Like, there's so many situations that people are going through when they're looking to sell their house for cash off market through these various methods that it's really a lot for a newbie to really handle, and especially when you need to close these leads. Otherwise, you're out, $10,000, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're very passionate about the on-market strategy and helping people get a yield on those leads, because it's all profit at the end of the day, right? Everyone has time, everyone has hustle, everyone has ambition. At least the people we want to work with, that they're willing to apply themselves to score these hyper profitable deals. And now it's not a matter of spending money to generate leads. It's more about spending your time to build relationships and going straight to great deals that you can lock up, and it's all profit at that point.
Yeah. And it's great not only for beginners, it's great for someone who's advanced, the people that are spending $5,000, $10,000 per deal, because when you can start to acquire deals from the MLS on the market that cost $0 in marketing, what happens overnight is you basically cut your acquisition costs in half if you're acquiring as many deals from on the market as off the market. So then it can make all of your numbers work and your business flow, because it doesn't cost any money to put a property under contract on the market whatsoever. So this is why a lot of clients come to us. This is why a lot of people come to us who are advanced, who are doing 50, 100 deals a year, because they want to approach the on-market side. They want to be able to do deals that have $0 invested into them, as opposed to the $5,000 or $10,000 acquisition costs on marketing for a lot of these off-market deals. So we know we can use the MLS, we can use the on-market, we can use Redfin. We want to find these distressed deals. You talked about these particular strategies, and we want to submit offers on these properties. That's one of the, I think a lot of people skip this step or try to skip this step, and they get confused on what an offer is. And one thing we believe in here, we have a very different distinction on what an offer is at our company. One thing you love saying is an offer isn't real unless it's in writing, meaning an offer to us is a written contract. And that's because at the end of the day, those are worth their weight in gold, because all that needs to happen once a written contract is submitted to the actual real estate agent, now all the seller needs to do is sign the dotted line, and we now have a binding contract. We now have the property under contract. If we're sending a text message of an offer price, even an email of an offer price, and we don't have a written contract submitted, we still then have to get a contract written up, sign it, and then submit it. And if we're just willing to submit written offers as best as we can on a consistent basis, daily basis, right? We recommend multiple per day for those that are actually serious in this business, or if you're just starting out, one a day or one every other day. That's what's going to move the needle. That's what's going to allow you to get deals. And so now it's not just about finding these deals. It's about talking to these real estate agents and getting written offers submitted.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love to say, if you're not making offers, you're not making any deals.
Yeah.
So, an offer is more than just sending an offer on a property. Of course, that's really the main point, but it's also a conversation starter. It's also a relationship opener. It's an opportunity to market yourself in these virtual markets, right? It's an opportunity to advertise your business in a new location that maybe you've never been to before. Maybe you're trying to build relationships. So it's an excuse. It's a great reason to be calling the gatekeepers to deals in this new virtual market, right? It's a great way to crack into the robust network of agents who are talking to sellers every single day and introducing yourself, your company. And really, your goal with every offer that you submit is to build a relationship and get on the short list of cash buyers that this agent knows, right? The listing agent who you're calling, you want them to think of you when they come across a seller who doesn't want to put their property on the MLS, who doesn't have the time or the resources to get it ready to go on the market as a listing. So they still will go to a real estate agent to help them sell it. And that real estate agent might come to you as the investor because you've presented a written offer, right? You've shown that you have a proof of funds. You've shown that you're serious. And they'll come to you knowing that you can provide a cash offer, a great solution for their client within a matter of 24, 48 hours. So really the side effect of making offers on properties, whether you're in your local market or long distance, is that you're now building relationships with real estate agents. And we like to call this the snowball effect. Because if you think about it, how do real estate agents get clients? How do real estate agents get listings? They're doing tons of marketing, right? They're the ones who are door knocking, sending postcards, doing, bus stop ads, really everything under the sun. They're hustling out there to get leads. So why don't we work a little smarter and make relationships with all of these agents so that when they come across these leads that are perfect for an investor, they're going to want to represent the buyer as well as the seller. So they're going to think of us because we took the time out of our day to call, to build relationships and submit an offer so that they can take us seriously. They have our email, our phone number, our contact info. They probably know something about us now because we know how to build relationships and talk to people on the phone. And so after you do that for a few months at a time, you're going to get some deals falling on your lap like we do all the time. We'll have deals just land in our inbox as a result of just working this system of calling agents and submitting offers. So it's really just, you have to think of it big picture. You have to expect that a lot of your offers are going to get rejected. That's just the name of the game. But through that, right, if you send 10 offers, you're now in with 10 agents, right? And don't take it personally if your offers don't get accepted. Just know that you can always ask the agent a few questions, right? Do you have any other deals, right? If this isn't a good fit, if my offer is not going to get accepted on this one, that's cool. I'm super glad we met. You're obviously an active agent. I'm obviously an active investor. What about anything else that you have in the pipeline? Any deals that you think I should be looking at? Any properties that would be great for a fix and flip, for a buy and hold, whatever your strategy is, whatever your cash buyer strategy is. And that way you can now get on the radar. And I can't tell you how many deals that we've got and our students have received just from asking that one simple question. Do you have any other deals? So you're going to want to ask the agents this, and you're going to want to have a reason to follow up with them too. So again, just a side effect of working this system is that you're tapping in to the thousands of dollars of marketing, to the thousands of hours that these agents are putting in, and your network is now compounding, and you're essentially getting in front of so many opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have if you were only focusing on your own marketing and your own mailers or your own cold calling, right? So this is just the smartest way to continue to diversify your reach in any given market in anywhere in the country.
And you know me, I like running through thought exercises, but I always like asking silly questions. But it's, if you run this scenario, imagine the virtual wholesaler, number one, who sends 100 text messages to an agent or to 100 different agents who says their offer price and what they want to buy it at, versus the virtual wholesaler that sends 100 written contracts. Who's going to get more deals at the end of the day? I'll put all my money on the person who sends 100 written contracts. Because also what's happening too, all of your points are 100% valid. What's also happening too, when you submit an offer, a written offer, and it's not accepted the first time around, that's important to understand. Like, a lot of offers get not accepted the first time around. A higher offer gets accepted, and guess what? It's an amateur wholesaler, doesn't know what they're doing. They offered way too high of a price, and so who's the real estate agent going to go to next? Now, if that offer got canceled, this other one, they're going to look in their email inbox. They're going to say, who actually submitted me a written contract? Because I'm going to go to the next most serious person. So it gives you not only a reason to follow up, it gives the agent a reason to follow up with you. And I can't tell you how many times, dozens of times, where agent says, hey, that offer's not going to work, that offer's not going to stand, and we get it submitted anyways, then the agent calls me back and says, you know what, Alex, you told me so. Does your offer still stand? Mm-hmm. And it's all because we are working this muscle of submitting written offers. If you're not working this muscle and submitting written offers, you're never going to get a wholesale deal. You're never going to get a fix and flip deal. You're never going to buy any rental properties. Because just like you mentioned, the only way you get deals is by submitting written offers. So it's just so important to do it. It's more than just trying to get that deal on the front end. It's the seriousness of your offer. It's how serious this agent's going to take you. A majority of people are going to call this agent and not submit an offer. If an agent challenges them and says, hey, that isn't going to work, majority of people say, okay. Whereas we're going to fight to get our offer in, because we've had so many deals, hundreds of thousands, maybe over $1 million so far, where we've closed deals where agents said, hey, that offer is not going to work. And a lot of the times, I love real estate agents, but it's not too hard to get a real estate agent's license. And in our experience, we have a lot more experience and a lot more transactional experience than a lot of the real estate agents we deal with. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot more than them. So when you're dealing with an agent who's listing a distressed house who's never ever closed a deal and saying, you know what, no, it's going to go at the list price all day, and it's listed at too high of a price, and we need to submit our offer $50,000 below the list price, we're going to get that frickin' offer in. And when reality sets in and there's higher offers that are getting canceled, and when they have to reduce that list price, we're going to be the knight in shining armor, the one that, from speaking in a genuine sense the whole entire time, that knew what they were doing the whole entire time, and then agent's going to realize that. And that's also how we've done a lot of these deals, because we didn't waver. We didn't back down. We didn't change our approach. We said, this is how it's going to go. You're probably going to get a lot of people submitting higher offers in this, but guess what they're going to do at the nth hour on the last day of their inspection contingency? They're going to ask you for a $100,000 reduction, and they're going to cancel out, and they're going to back out of this contract. And what happens a majority of the time? That happens. So when we know this, and we can tell the real estate agent this, and we can play to this, this is always our approach of just being those no-nonsense, genuine cash offers and these no-nonsense buyers that these real estate agents can trust. So just this muscle of submitting written offers, just actually doing it, puts you in the game. And it's all about these little things, these little distinctions that really make you a professional rather than an amateur.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, when you submit a written offer, the listing agent has an obligation to present that to the seller. And so if you're just sending a text message, if you're just committing to something over a phone conversation, then they don't have to submit that to the seller. They don't actually have to present it. So the seller might never even see the offer. Mm-hmm. So that's the other point that I wanted to make, is like, the reason we send them in writing is because we know it's going to get presented. And even if it doesn't get accepted, like you said, they might come to terms with where their pricing is. Maybe they're overpriced. Maybe their motivation changes from week to week. And just the fact that we're in their inbox, we've had a personalized call with them. Now we have more opportunity than ever to actually come in and be the winning offer once the seller does decide to go with someone that can actually help them close the deal. And so as time goes on, motivation changes. And so just the fact that we get it in there, and we like to get it in early too. Mm-hmm. So if we can be the first one to offer, that can increase our likelihood of getting the deal, 9 times out of 10. So there's a saying in real estate, the first offer is often the best offer. Mm-hmm. So speed is often the name of the game. And if you can be the first one to offer, you're going to set yourself up for success. But even then, if you can call and still build a genuine relationship, you'd be surprised how many other investors, how many other offers are not doing that with agents. I think we probably take it for granted because that's just how we've been doing it for so long. But when we work with other investors coming to us who haven't worked our MLS offer system, they plug into this and they can see the results immediately of how having these conversations, right, mm-hmm. running through our scripts, it makes such a big difference in distinguishing yourself as a serious buyer, a professional buyer, versus these other wishy-washy buyers, or even some of the agents representing these other buyers are just not even doing it to the extent that we've been training and that we've been practicing in our businesses. So, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So in order to submit a quality offer, right, guys, that's what it comes down to, is understanding the situation of the property, right? The physical condition of the property. That's why we want to have the right questions presented to the listing agent, the seller, when we're making what we call a discovery call on these properties. So again, we're trying to avoid going to the property. So we want to extract as much information as possible when we're talking to the agent. We want to ask questions that they are legally required to give us this information, right? When we ask, are there any structural issues? When was the last time this house was updated? How old is the roof? Are there any material defects with this property? Are there any disclosures or reports that you can share with me? They have to share all of this stuff with us. And guess what? If they don't know anything about the property, which surprisingly a lot of times they don't know anything about the property, then that just gives us more leverage to make our best guess, and ultimately gives us leverage when we are doing our inspection, when we're in our inspection contingency, right? We're going to discover things that even the agent didn't know about, maybe the seller didn't know about, and therefore we can then amend our price to make sense for our business model. So some of you might be asking, when I'm making my offer, do I need to go see the property, right? Maybe the agent is saying no blind offers, right? You need to go see the property, right? So we've been handling this objection for many years, and it really just comes down to confidence, right? When you understand the wholesaling process, when you understand the acquisitions process, right? When you understand wholesale real estate contracts, when you understand how to navigate an escrow, you're going to have the confidence to communicate that, look, we're busy investors. We're trying to buy 10 houses by the end of the month. If I was going to go see every single property that I'm looking to buy and make an offer on before making an offer, I wouldn't be in business. I'd be running around all day, in my car and spending time in this crazy traffic, right? That doesn't sound great, does it? Well, guess what? I'd be more than happy to come to the property. One of my team members or myself will be there as soon as your seller accepts, or at least tells us that they're going to accept, subject to us going to see the property. And that's exactly why we have our inspection contingency in there, so that everything you're telling me, I'm taking it, I'm listening and I'm taking notes. And through our experience of buying and renovating properties in this area, we really know what this thing's going to take as far as renovations and our budget. So as long as everything you're telling me here is accurate and is fully disclosed, like we're very confident we know what price we need to buy this thing at, and we're going to go in and do our inspections. And as long as there's no major issues, we're going to be in the clear. So, I'd love for you to present my offer, and as long as the seller is on board and we'll have a short inspection contingency, then there's really no reason for me to go see this property right now. We're buying deals all over the country. We love this area. We're particularly buying here, and we'd be happy to come to the property as soon as we have some resemblance of a deal. So just like that, now you don't need to go see the property beforehand. And I'll say the same thing, whether it's here in San Diego where we're located, whether it's in Tennessee, Ohio, Florida. Like, I'm obviously not going to go see those properties, but we have team members, somebody on our team can go see it. And really, as a last resort, sure, you can. If the listing agent's going to represent you, just say, hey, I'm not in town, and say the same thing. I'm more than happy to get out there once we have a deal. I have partners on the ground, right? I have my contractor there. He can go check it out. I have an agent who can go see it for me. Maybe you have another friend or wholesaler who can go check it out for you. So it just depends on how you're looking to work this particular deal, but there's many ways to overcome that objection so that you as the business owner, you as the investor, you as the virtual wholesaler don't actually have to go to the property.
Yeah, that's always the goal. And so I can tell you've said that a few times as well, and handled that objection, of course, throughout the years. This is how we virtually wholesale anywhere. Right, just through these conversations with the real estate agent. Sometimes the real estate agent can represent you as a buyer, and they take photos and send you more photos of the property. And the important thing to understand, the listing agent is as incentivized as us to close the deal. The listing agent doesn't get paid until the deal is closed. And a big distinction with the MLS and on market too, these aren't cold calls; these are warm calls, and I like to call them even hot calls. Because real estate agents, in a way, get paid to pick up random phone numbers calling them, right? So let's just say you are in California calling Colorado, and you have a 858 area code, and you're calling on this property in Colorado, this listing agent is thinking this could be a random buyer. Like, they're going to pick up the phone. And so, it does help in some situations if you want to change your area code to the local market that you're in. That's a nice little ninja tip. Mm-hmm. But they get paid to pick up phone calls, right? Some of us may be asking, why would an agent pick up my phone calls? They get paid to pick up phone calls. They want to close the deal. And so when we're just working on these deals and we're trying to virtually wholesale real estate, this is why we feel so confident doing this in different markets. It's why our students come in here and wholesale in different markets. It's because agents are used to picking up these phone calls from random phone numbers, and then we handle these objections with confidence so that we don't have to go to the properties. And just like you mentioned, there's been so many deals. It's our goal, right? It is our goal not to see the property first in person just to save time, because now once we have it under contract, we have the inspection contingency, now we get out there. Because just like you're telling that agent, if we go to every single property before getting it under contract, that's a lot of freaking properties.
There you have it. And if you want to build a hyper-profitable wholesaling business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch. I'll show you how to start closing multiple deals per month with predictability without having to spend $1 on marketing. See you there, and happy wholesaling.